If you're tired of corporate media bowing to fascists and fundamentalists, check out The Collective. It's a grassroots, creator-owned platform for people who believe in liberation, not empire. At The Collective, you'll find fiery essays, sharp satire, and thought-provoking articles from today's boldest, justice-minded writers. Plus, you'll get real tools to create change, like scripts to contact your congresspeople, guides to push back locally, and a nationwide directory of Black and queer-owned businesses. Use promo code RADICALLOVE for 10% off a yearly subscription. That's a savings of 20% off the monthly price. Visit thecollective.com. That's TheQuollective, and become part of something that resists, reimagines, and rebuilds.
This is Radical Love Live, an ongoing series of conversations with thought leaders exploring faith outside the boxes. Hosted by Mark Dilcom and Kelly Wilson.
Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Mark. How are you?
I'm freaking awesome.
Are you? You look freaking awesome. You got a glow about you. I don't know what.
Well, I'm going to tell you the honest, for full disclosure to our listeners, we're recording part 2 of our 2-part conversations that we now do at Radical Love Live with our guest, finding that this is a good way for us to do things. So I'm answering this question. I'm on a glow because the first part of the conversation we have with Jon Carl Lewis is so freaking awesome. And then there was a little bit of banter that we just had now as we set up to begin this episode. And I'm just realizing this is what happens when everything is just firing really well. And not that it always isn't, but you know how we can get caught up in our own shit sometimes, like, oh, woe's me, and oh, the world sucks, and we don't like what this person does, and et cetera, et cetera. It's just when you have something happen that realizes that there's much more than all of that, that there's things that we can't comprehend in action as well. But when you just touch it for that brief moment, you realize, there's so much more to all of this.
Oh, totally. It's one of those conversations where I'm having a hard time keeping my mouth closed and listening because everything reminds me of something else. I'm like, oh yeah, I know something about that too. Somebody said something about this. And it's, I want to jump into the flow, but it's also like I gotta listen because then I can get more information, more inspiration. So
it's always a pleasure.
The conversation flowing.
Indeed, it's always a pleasure to do this with you, brother. So
likewise.
Yeah. So welcome back, Jon Carl Lewis. So for our listeners, that if you didn't listen to part 1, I really am going to suggest go listen to that and then pick up on part 2, because we're going to continue what was the conversation. And dare I say, are we going to talk about sex?
Yes. I hear we're gonna.
Yes,
I'm so tempted to break into the song, but I'm not.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
Yeah. Anyway, there we go.
Salt and Pepper comes back from the 90s. Here we are. Boom. Hello, Jon Carl.
Hello. How you doing?
Oh my God, freaking awesome. How are you?
I'm doing well.
I like it.
And let me. Well, I guess this is part of the spiritual narrative.
Yeah.
I don't think I was doing well a couple days ago. My mother died.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
June 18th.
Yeah.
And it has been an incredibly long haul. And then I spent the week helping to stage manage a celebration of life that they will be talking about for years.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. Hopefully in a robust, affirming way. Yes.
Oh my God, it was off the chain.
Okay. Love it.
And what was amazing about it was stepping into that role and being my mother's son.
That's
and
beautiful.
People were like, oh, your mother died, just be gentle to yourself, just go and sort of sit and be ministered to. And I was hearing this and thinking, every time I walked into that church as a child, it didn't matter what was going on emotionally, I was on the clock and working. My aunt had this phrase, fix your face, and get up there.
Oh, I like that.
Wow. Fix your face and get up there. Wow.
So, I let everybody else cry and fall apart. But I was
Mhm.
like, Mom had trained me how to do all this, how to guide and shape the big emotions of a community and a large extended family and a tight-knit community. How to do all that and make it look effortless. I mean, I was lying to people. People were like, "Oh, how are you doing?" And I would say to them, "It's been a shock. I'm sure I will feel this later." Because I had things to do.
Right.
I won't go into it all. So, blah, 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 blah. I felt this incredible sense of relief as we walked out of the sanctuary. And by the time we got to the graveside, I was like, I have done everything for my mother. We have reconciled. We are good. I am released. I am free.
Oh, God, that's beautiful.
We are at peace. And that's not true for Mom and everybody. So I was gentle about that.
Yeah.
And 2 days ago when I got here was the first time I had stopped moving since the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
And I was hit by such a wave of exhaustion and grief that I did not think I could present yesterday.
Oh, wow.
And this is tying into something we had talked about in the break, and I just want to lift this up. So I got myself together and I walked into the room, and we were supposed to talk about erotic self-care for spiritual leaders. I had my little Hindu yogic practices set up, and I was going to do my breath work, and I had my little spiel and stuff like that. I got in there and I sat there. I said, "Folks, I am having a hard time. I'm grieving." And what we did was we went around and we named our griefs. And people were naming things. I mean, they weren't big things, but they were griefs. And we got it all out. And then we shook it all off and blah, blah, blah. And we were ready. We were ready. And the lesson I got from that ties into eroticism and sexuality is that, the erotic is about connection. It's about celebration. It is about co-creation. And one of the men in the group said, yes, and it's also about cherishing. And I said, yes, absolutely. Let's add cherishing to the list. And grief is when you have loved something so much you can't deal with its loss. And do we shy away from the erotic because it is scary to love that much? I wasn't sure I could present yesterday. And yet when I got in that room and we all talked about our grief, we held each other. And after the grief and the fear was gone, we talked about the deep desires of our hearts. And then the desires came forth.
Mm-hmm.
The grieving, I think, made room for us to feel the joy. You can't give yourself fully to something wonderful and beautiful without realizing it's not going to last forever. And so maybe it's easier, someone brought this up, maybe it's just easier to live a shallow life.
That's such an absurd thought, but that so many people do exactly that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it hurts to live deeply.
It hurts to
I mean, it's also wildly exciting, but
yes.
Yeah. God, thank you for putting words to that, because as we talk about what it is to be loving, in whatever form that takes place, but the grief, as you just described, being in touch with that and being open and vulnerable to that, also I would think, as I'm processing this, opens us up to being vulnerable with those that we are co-creating a sensual, sexual, erotic experience with as well. And at that's when you're getting into transformational or transformative levels of sexual experiences. Like that's some pretty good stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and I was able to do it because for some reason Spirit told me I was safe.
Mm.
I was in a context of people who, I wasn't really thinking about having sex with.
No. No, but you're discussing it and the intimacy that goes with that. Yeah.
But there was an intimacy and there was a level of, we can be real here. If they pushed back, it would have been a different thing. I would have gone back to my notes. But what I'm thinking about and what we were talking about during the break, we were naming the people who God has put in our lives in a serendipitous fashion. And as I was taking a break, I was thinking, oh my God, I wish that Mark and Tamis and Luther and all these people we just casually named and like dozens and dozens, hundreds of others, why don't we all live together in the same space?
I've had those thoughts before as well, my friend. I have.
We would kill each other. We should not even be in the same denomination. No.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But this justice work is like love-making work, and now I'm channeling Audre Lorde, I hope.
You are?
It's sort of like there is an erotic passion among friends. And Bell Hooks talks about an erotic love between teachers and students. I almost fell off my chair.
I know, right? You were like,
Easy
what?
to transgress. Oh, she did a whole chapter on it. I was like, no, you didn't.
Yes, she did.
Named it. But, I think one of the gifts we can give each other and awakening to our desires is finding those spaces for ourselves where we can be frank about what those desires are.
Yeah. Do you, what is your sense with the work you have done, you are doing, and as we go forward? I'm setting you up a bit in a good way.
No, it's a setup.
Yeah, it's a setup. So, when I'm thinking about the millennials, Gen Zs, and the generations coming thereafter, the ones that are not connecting to a organized religious experience at all, and we know for some of the obvious, they are not willing to tolerate their friends and family who are queer or somewhere in the spectrum of seeing abuse to them. So that's the reason why they're not walking through the damn door. Okay, so we know that, but there is something else inside of this. Is it because of what you just said, the radical honesty, the vulnerability, the sensuality, the eroticism, all of that is it true that these younger generations are like what we were when we were young, only we hid it and now they're not hiding it? Like there's this evolution and a passion that they're not going to suppress because they don't see it as dirty or something that they have to keep aside. I mean, I'm speaking in general, and I'm sure it still exists. My point in saying to you, though, Jon Carl, where do you find hope in this? Where do the work that you're doing, how do we reach out to those kinds of folks that have that conversation? Not just young folks, but I mean folks our age too. But yeah, how is it? Because we just don't know how to fucking talk about sex in a spiritual, faithful kind of way. It's just don't go there. Talk about the third realm, man. You touch that and pew.
Right, and somebody comes along and talks about Christ-centered sexuality, like. What's that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, we were talking about how you work with churches.
Yeah.
And how
they're going to reach out to you.
It's really funny because the conversation in churchy circles is how do we teach the kids about sex?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. That exactly is the problem. When you couch it that way, how are we going to talk to them about sex? It's like, yeah, okay, I think you already missed your point. So, yeah.
Well, why they missed the point is because let's talk to our kids about sex, but don't you dare ask me about me as a sexual being.
You're right. There is that part. Yeah. Don't tell me how
And
I like to enjoy it. Yeah.
and one of the things that Tina Schumer Sellers highlighted is, I'll be 60 in September, God willing, and the people who were in high school not too far after me, we did the age generation. I came out at the peak of the age crisis. I graduated from high school, went into college. By the time I came out of college, everything was freaking out. Nancy Reagan was just saying no.
Yeah, just say no.
But
Yeah.
the radical right, quietly, while we were marching in the streets, got people elected to all these boring little offices on the school board
Yeah.
and governmental advisory committees. And by 2000, Dr. Tina Schumer Sellers, who is teaching psychology students how to work with married couples, noticed that her students could not write their own sexual history, did not know how to, asked to opt out of the assignment. She had been doing this for years.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden they couldn't do it. They couldn't talk about it. And she went down the rabbit hole. So 2000s is when the kids who had abstinence-only education reached her.
Mm.
We have had abstinence-only education for the vast majority of Americans since the 90s.
Shit, I have never thought about it, and the complexity and the scope of the ramification.
It was deliberate.
Oh, definitely deliberate. That's that entire purity culture, sinless, original sin.
Yeah, it's very hard to explain
Ugh.
to some people that I talk to in conservative circles. Are like, well, why don't they just not have sex then? And it's like, it seems so complex that to talk about not everyone is in control of their sexuality, and it's a drive and a need that's so deep that, like, that's a very difficult thing to expect of people.
Well, I would push back a little. I pushed back a little bit on that. Just tiny bit on the language. We have not been taught to be in control of our sexuality.
Yeah, well said. That's true. I would agree. I know where your sentiment was going.
I was thinking of like wives that are submitting to their husbands, and
of course, where they have no control.
Who are like
right.
But
a woman who's in control of her sexuality often finds herself divorced really fast. No, I mean, but seriously, I mean, when people get in touch with the wisdom of their bodies that they've been suppressing.
Well, okay, to that point. So in the prior episode, you had mentioned a hetero couple, and where the male member of the couple, right, was actually vulnerable to expressing his own sexuality. And think about it from a straight dude point of view. In our culture, like, there's like, and we see it on display right now, right here, in such a toxic way, that where you have to be a man in a certain way. And so therefore I assume that when it comes to sexual experience, it becomes a conquest as well. Like, there's all of these things, like, but God, fuck, a man has to like they have to live up to some like concept that they're just forced into. And God forbid if you think that you want to enjoy something that doesn't fit that box, that very specific box that you're putting A into B.
Well, and it's funny because we're not even talking about a guy who was necessarily exploring a kinky side, because believe you me, they see sex and erotic in the topic, and it's like I hear about everybody's kinks if they have them. But but this was not that. And as he came to, I think he was trying to get a better handle on how to control his heterosexuality, his heterosexual activities, and it cost him his first marriage. And I suspect it's because the person he married first probably had the same exact script that he did. He got out, and he got out.
Wow.
So now he has a lovely new wife.
But did they do that work as they were entering into their new this marriage together? Because otherwise, it feels like you'd be doomed to repeat history. So right.
Well, that's why you find guys with second, third, fourth wives. I mean, really, after three, like the problem's me. But but he actually recommended to me someone whose name I would pronounce Diarmaid O'Murchu. He pronounced it correctly, as in the Irish, and I had no idea who he was talking about. But about a Catholic spiritual theologian talking about eroticism and desire who helped him greatly.
Wow. And who is this person again?
Maybe I'll just have it's Diarmaid O'Murchu.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it's.
It's new to me. So
I learned English in Indiana, so I don't have any more clue as to the Irish pronunciation as anyone else. But
so for our listeners, we'll do some research. We'll throw it in the show notes of who we were talking about.
Please throw it in the show notes.
Yep.
But he wrote a book on desire, and I think it was a long time ago, because when I immediately looked for it on Amazon, who I am enslaved to, it was way down on the list.
Okay.
But immediate buy about desire, and And the guy said to me, "Now be careful, because he's hard on institutions."
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's probably a good sign right there.
And I said, "Okay, well, I better not read him, because
So I'm going to throw a curveball at you. Do you, in this conference you're now at, and what you'll be doing, you're also presenting at Wild Goose as well, coming up over Labor Day.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Let's not forget about that. And folks, we'll put that in the notes as well. So, Jon Carl, what are you talking about at Wild Goose?
Okay, so at Wild Goose, I will be again presenting a conversation that will help us start to build theologies of sexuality that can support robust erotic living in conjunction with the guidance of the Spirit and in the spirit of Christ, in the gospel, loving each other as loving God, and out of that connection to God, not just loving God, but a connection to God and Spirit and appreciation of all that is, then loving ourselves, and then out of that love flowing out to like, now, how are we going to treat other people right? Who can I partner with in relationship who will let my light shine and I let their light shine? Who will push me to be the fullest person I can be as I help them be the fullest person they can be? And how do we create something generative that flows out into the community, that doesn't stay confined to our white picket fence and our 2 children in the suburbs? Because when you get in touch with this love, this deep erotic love, it's hard to keep it contained between 2 people. And I'm not talking polyamory, but the love flows, it's generative. So we're going to be talking about that.
The Collective isn't just another media platform. It's a justice-fueled toolbox for people who want to change the world and still laugh while doing it. You'll get access to powerful essays, brilliant satire, and original articles that speak truth to power. But it doesn't stop there. We've also got resources for writing your representatives, directories of Black and queer-owned businesses to support, and community-focused tools to help you turn conviction into action. Use promo code RADICALLOVE for 10% off a yearly subscription. That's a savings of 20% off the monthly price. Go to thecollective.com and let's build a post-fascist future together.
So again, I don't want to go too far past that because that's really a radical notion, but yet it makes so much sense. If I have passionate love with my lover, with my spouse, or whatever the title it goes to it, then that becomes generative love out into the world. It could be close with family that's around me, but also with anything else, because it's a generative love that's manifested in this case, like in a sexual way. It doesn't mean, to your point, it's not mean that I want to, like, have sex with my coworker so much, but am I making sense of what you're saying, that you can, this positive experience then generates itself out into the world?
Well, and if we want to get granular, so you do find your coworker sexually attractive.
True, because I did that just to tame it down, but you're right. I mean, why did that's just conditioning that made me.
Well, let's do a real situation. You see them and they're attractive, and you see them every day, and you love them and stuff like that. And and this is where discernment comes in. This is where we bring in. This is where we bring in the spiritual direction and the contemplation and the sitting with spirit and the silence and the pause before we do anything. What if you say, okay, that person is really, really attractive to me. There is some sort of pull. Let me breathe into that. Let's feel this in the privacy of my own home and not say anything to them about it. Let's feel it. Let's hold it up to God. Spirit, I love my spouse. What the hell is going on? And in that pause, I feel we get wisdom to know what to do with that. Very, very often, I've gone for it. So there's this muscle cupcake at the gym. He's legal but way too young, if you know what I mean. I'd do better to ask him for his OnlyFans so that I could just look at him from afar. That would be a better, healthier interaction.
Right.
And and I'm like, he's way too young for me. There is no way he knows how to have sex at the level that I do in any way that I would find satisfying. Because he hasn't been through the actual erotic education that I have. I doubt, I'd be teaching him. I could teach him something.
Sure.
But his body is stiff and he's muscly. And he's absolutely OnlyFans attractive. But he's stiff. His energy, he's scared. And so I'm holding this up. I'm like, what? Spirit, what? And this went on for weeks. Because the last thing I was going to do was flirt with him. And the Spirit gave me the capacity to have compassion on the woundedness that keeps him trapped in that man box. And I felt something release. And so now when I see him, I don't have this longing for him. He's beautiful. I don't have this longing for him. I know I don't want that sort of interaction with him. And do you know, he now looks at me and smiles.
Wow.
And we're still not going to make out in the shower. No, this is not going to happen because I really don't think that's good for me or for him. Even if he were interested, but it's sort of like, oh my goodness, I went into my desire and now I see him as a person. We dealt with the desire. We went there. I didn't have to do anything to fulfill those desires. I just felt them and held them up to God, and they transmuted into something that God could use. So.
Wow. That's such a different approach than I'm not going to do anything with that. I'm going to avoid it.
That's right. It's temptation.
The way that I avoid a chocolate cake in the fridge when I'm on a diet. And then that's all I can think about in the middle of the night is that damn cake.
Yes.
And I've seen people in purity culture who avoid it and avoid it and avoid it so that their thinking is still shaped around that, but like the absence of it, and then they break. They're finally just like, fuck it, I got
Oh,
it.
when they snap, it's a disaster.
Yeah,
course.
it's like they pulled the rubber band so tight.
There's
that
a
bing,
movie
and
that
then
is, but many movies, but one in particular, Ed Jon Carl has explained this. You know what came to me? American Beauty. Yes.
Yeah.
That is all
Yeah,
of
it's
this,
just-
where
right.
he just snapped.
And the
All the
reality
desire.
was so disappointing.
Yes, I
compared to
know,
the
right?
fantasy. Yeah,
So-
I haven't thought about that.
Yeah,
in a
that's
long
right. I
time.
remember that. That was
Oh my
so
God, what
honest.
an awesome
So
film.
creepy.
Because of all that setup to all of that. And it's it is such the way that it typically goes. And what you just described in your discernment with your, how did you describe him? Your
Muscle cupcake.
your muscle cupcake. Yes.
I love that.
Because you went through the discernment process, that if any of us would go through that and allow ourselves to go there and ride through that, the outcome and what comes out of the outcome is extraordinary.
Yeah.
God, I'm so
Are
glad
there-
we tripped across that.
Are there other circumstances where sort of like quasi-erotic interaction is okay that we might not think of? And I'm thinking of the dumbest example as my wife used to work in the health and beauty industry and was talking about how when a stylist, when they're like working on your hair, if they touch you a lot and they kind of bump into you and brush into you a lot, their tips go through the roof. Like the
Yes.
stylists that are more touchy get more tips. And there's something about that, like you're already vulnerable. You're like in a chair and somebody's
true.
got a sharp blade and they're coming at you. And, you know, but at one point they're washing your hair and they're doing a
Oh, I love
massage.
it. That's
and
very
there's
erotic,
something
actually.
like
Yeah.
undeniably erotic
Yes,
about
absolutely
that.
there
It's not sex, but there's still something erotic about it. And I think it also gets into the fact that eroticism goes way beyond the bounds of a bedroom. But are those interactions?
We've talked about sex a lot, but you know, I've been fortunate. Oh, I might as well come all the way out of the closet. I'm fortunate to have, you know, because I've researched sex. I've talked to, you know, people who coach people on sex therapists. I have a friend who is the intimacy coach for the Himeros porn studio. He goes in and sits the guys down before they have a sex scene, and they talk about what they're going to do and how they feel about it. This is ethical porn. You know, this is not your regular porn. But I know all these people, and now I know people who work in porn and erotic massage and all that, and I'm so enriched by these people. I'm trying to think where I was going with this. But anyway, there's one of them who I really, really admire, who, yeah, he can do the erotic massage stuff and stuff like that. Actually, I've run into two people like this who are now offering platonic cuddle parties.
Oh, right. Yes. I've heard about this.
Interesting.
Elaborate, please.
And some of them are, you know, clothed, and some of them are not clothed. But because he holds the space and how he holds the space, it is a not sexual space. And the tears they report from these guys who just wanted to be held.
Absolutely.
And if you just want to be held, it doesn't matter if he's a muscle cupcake.
Right.
Oh,
You want the big bellied bear, at least I do. And you just want to just be loved and touched. And to be quite honest, what I'm finding, like when I go to men's conferences, you know, erotic, you know, conferences where there's a lot of sex going on and stuff like that, I'm really not interested in the sex. I want to be held. I just want to be held. And what if the cuddle parties happened in sanctuaries with someone who knew how to hold the space? Because there is a skill in getting people to a place. There is a skill in creating a container that is sensual and not sexual.
Yes.
Mhm.
And people don't know that exists. They think you got to go right from the sensual to the sexy.
Well, you know why, of course, because we live in such a binary world where everything is one or the other. There's not a both and. So this is the very essence of both and, right?
Right. And that's why so many straight men can't admit like Bradley Cooper is sexy, because it's like the moment I have a thought,
Yeah,
all of a
exactly.
sudden I'm
Yep. Oh, God, right. Oh,
yeah, I'm vacationing in P-Town all of a sudden. Yeah. So
is that what happens? As a straight dude, you realize that you kind of think Bradley Cooper's hot.
For some of them, they slide right down that slippery slope.
Next thing you know, they're weak in P-Town.
driving a Subaru. Yeah. Sorry. And Bradley, if you're listening, you are a good-looking man.
Yeah, he is a hot man. So there's that. He's got it going.
Here's another thing too, like in the locker room, which I people are like, why you go to the gym? I'm like, the locker room is my laboratory. It is my crucible. It's where I stand. No, it's like where I stand, like on the savannah behind the like grass screen. And I look at
But not with voyeuristic intention,
No,
as Columbia would say in Time Warp. But yeah.
well, one gets distracted.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's sort of like, and I just noticed things. There was this straight guy. He's, dad bod. Dad bods are hot to me, but he wouldn't think of himself as hot. And we had talked, and I knew he was straight, and he knew I knew he was straight because, of course, I talk about these things. And I said, you're very attractive. And he said, well, why are you telling me that? I'm straight. And I said, yeah, I know you're straight. That doesn't stop you from being attractive. I don't want to have sex with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I heard something come out of my mouth like, who tells you you're attractive? Does your wife? I know random women on the street are not walking up to a man and telling him he's attractive.
Nope.
Who tells a straight man he's attractive?
God, that is such a radical
His
question.
banker.
Right. Yeah. Only
The guy at the Mercedes dealer.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You're hot, dude. You need a Mercedes.
Oh my gosh.
I have never thought about that.
Yeah, you're right. Those kinds of affirmations.
Where do they get that?
And that, it's part of the erotic. I complimented a woman in the coffee house on this beautiful thing she was wearing, a beautiful like shift-like dress. I forget what it was like, and she blossomed and came.
Of course, because we live in a culture to where that is, dare I say, acceptable, right? Like you can do that. Like, oh, that dress looks awesome, aren't you? And poof, right?
Well, and I can only say that because I'm gay.
Yes, you can.
Right. Like there are circumstances where I can't say that.
That's true. As a straight dude, if in that definition.
Like if it's if I'm in an office and somebody like a coworker, I can't. You can't.
No, you're not doing that. That is for sure. That is for sure. So let's go back to something in something you said, because I actually got a tingle up my spine. You mentioned.
Is that what the tingle was?
So you saw the look.
Can you talk about this offline?
That'll be our bonus material.
Yeah, exactly. Folks, we're now doing OnlyFans with Radical Love Live.
That's right.
That's how we're going to monetize this. We have it solved. Yes. Whew. We've been working on this for 5 years. Now we know. Wow. It only took 5 years. And thank you, Jon Carl, for that. You mentioned cuddling and sanctuary, and I was like, oh, because again, to one of the reasons why we're in conversation with you is what is eroticism, what is sensuality, and how does that fit into the Christian context? And I the tingle I got, I was like, oh my God, sanctuary. Is that line that we can't cross? Is that the Rubicon that? We can't, there's certain things we cannot do in sanctuary, but it has to be somewhere else. See, that's my construct that just kicked up right there.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to go off in the wild direction I want to go, but let me try to stick to cuddling in the sanctuary.
Yeah.
at Wild Goose, they've been having cuddle parties.
Mm.
And I found my puritanical edge when I was invited into a co-ed cuddle party,
Mhm.
and I resisted, because I was uncomfortable being physical with a woman that way.
Mhm.
I don't know what inside me. I think it's purity culture that it makes me weird about touching women.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it stopped my sex life, because that's not the way I'm going. But there was a straight guy in there who was absolutely gorgeous, and I approached the puppy pile, and I know this one guy is more open. Yeah, but I was supposed to. The space for me was with this straight guy who I found attractive,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought, I can't do this. I can't do this.
Why? Because you thought there would be some physical reaction to all this?
No, I'm pretty good at controlling myself that way.
Okay.
Um, I was afraid he would feel.
Mm.
I was afraid of rejection. I was afraid of doing something that he might perceive as harm. I was terrified.
Wow. Okay.
And of course, as happens at Wild Goose in a heterosexual mixed gender cuddle party, he was like, "Come on in,
Mm-hmm.
come on in, put your pelvis right up against my ass." I mean, he didn't say that, but
that's
what
why-
we had
yeah.
available. And I was and he's gorgeous, and I just let myself do it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And I think the lesson in that, is we don't give ourselves chances to just try stuff, to do small experiments. Hold the hot, straight guy. You're fully clothed. He's given consent. Reach over and wrap your arm around the woman's shoulders. She won't bite you. And I was like, I relaxed into just feeling okay.
So much of our modern, well, I don't know everybody else's. I know one of my issues over years and years, and I'm just starting to deal with it, is not feeling comfortable in my own skin.
Mm-hmm.
And I've chased it with drink, I've chased it with drugs, I've chased it with work, I've chased it with all kinds of distractions. But the work of sitting here and being okay, and I like the metaphor of being comfortable in my own skin, but it's the reality of it as well, like being in a body and accepting what it means to live in a body has been difficult, but is also such rewarding work to do.
Yes. Yes. And
Well, doctor has a prescription for body shame. I keep hearing it again and again and again, and it came up yesterday. So we're sitting there, and I'm trying to be demure, thinking I'm pushing the edges around talking about sexuality.
Yeah.
And a guy starts talking about his nude yoga class and won't stop talking about being nude yoga and how wonderful it is. Now, I go to nude yoga, so why am I sitting here scandalized? And, and he said something like, it wasn't until I was in a naked, non-sexual space that I accepted my body.
yes. Okay. So you are onto something.
Naked, non-sexual.
Yes, I will tag on to that. So one of the things that my spouse and I do is, and I've been doing this for years, is we go to nude beaches, right? And that is the same thing. When you destigmatize that, and I love going to a nude beach that is not just queer. I mean, that's fun too in its own way. But I love. There's one at Gunnison Beach down in Sandy Hook. For those who want to look it up, right? That is the better part of that beach is hetero, and I love that because it allows me to see bodies in all forms, and allows me to lean into my own and drop all of that stigma. Because even when I'm all around queer men, yeah, I can get really like, oh well, I'm not a certain age and I'm not a certain style and da 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 da. It is the that just. I like that openness and that feeling. And so actually I tend, take me to Gunnison Beach. I'm very happy there.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting. I
Yeah,
would love to go,
and
but
I
there's
keep
not
wanting
enough
to go to Gunnison
sunscreen.
for my birthday.
What's that?
Sorry,
John
I'm
Carl?
talking over you.
I keep meaning to go to Gunnison for my birthday, but it's too damn far from Trenton.
Well, you have to come up. We'll go together. We'll make it a fun thing. It really is. It is so fun. Yes, you do have to be careful where you put sunscreen.
Yes. Yeah. Like
There is a technique.
I'm getting burnt just from this conversation. So yeah.
Yes, there are certain body parts that don't see a lot of sun. You do want to make sure that you've adequately protected them in a high UV environment. Okay, so with that said, I think we have just magically ran out of time.
Yeah,
so.
I know. I hate to bring it up, but because we're just getting, it's just getting good.
I don't know. Maybe
it has
Marvin.
been good, but it's just getting better.
We should ask Marvin next time. Can we have a third hour?
Yeah, right.
All right.
Hopefully not at the same time.
Yes. Oh my God, Jon Carl, I just, wow, what an awesome conversation with you. Much blessings to you, brother. Good luck with the convocation you're doing now, and also what you're going to be doing at Wild Goose. We'll put all that into our show notes as always. So.
Yeah, and I hope to be there. So I will
That's
look
right.
you
You
up.
did say that.
Yeah, it's not far from my mom's house. So,
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Think about
It's
heading
a
down there.
party. And the one marketing thing I've got to say about myself
Yes,
is,
please.
these conversations are so rich that I'm going to be moving them onto my Substack at Queer Christian Ramblings. A book will take too long. And,
I like the way
I'm really excited about inviting everybody into these conversations on my Substack.
Yeah.
Because nothing I have learned in this life came to me purely from the divine. It's like, it's in conversation and pushback and have you thought about this?
Absolutely.
That I learn and I connect with community and I can do the work I do. It's like we can do it all together if we're talking to each other. So I hope that space is not passive. I want you to come. I want you to look at it. And I want you to invite me to workshops and preach and all the stuff. But I just want the dialogue as much as anything else.
Amen. Jon Carl Lewis. So grateful.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. And everybody who's listening, if you want to hear more from Jon Carl, look at our show notes. You can find out more places to read and hear his work.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Radical Love Live, hosted by Mark Dilcom and Kelly Wilson. Recorded at the Bravery Studios in Garfield, New Jersey. All rights reserved. Find our episodes on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. And check us out at radicallovelive.com, along with our personal websites at markdilcom.com and kellywilson.com. This is Radical Love Live, where we explore faith outside the boxes.
If your idea of self-care is dunking on fascism and reading spicy takedowns of theocracy over coffee, welcome to The Collective. It's like if James Baldwin, Bell Hooks, and The Onion had a love child and raised it on banned books and street protests. We've got savage satire, essays that slap, and articles that punch up, not down. Plus, tools to email your reps, scripts for calling your city council, and a badass directory of Black and queer-owned businesses you should have been supporting yesterday. Use code RADICALLOVE for 10% off a yearly plan and help build the post-fascist, pro-people media ecosystem we actually need. TheCollective.com. Let's raise hell